GMs for Hire.
Welcome back to another episode of GMs for Hire. I am Jamil. With me is RJ. If you see us two and no one else, you know what's going on. College football's in the air. Season's getting ready to kick off. And we're here to break down everything. Today, we're going to be talking to you guys about the Atlantic Coast Conference, RJ's favorite conference. His team's in there, so you already know he's going to have a lot of things to say. And in this episode, we're going to break down the top 5 quarterbacks we have in this conference, along with 5 players we're looking after to have a big season, and maybe some guys we that might be going under the radar. So, RJ, how you feeling right now about season coming back?
Bro, this is without a doubt the most anticipated season of college football for me ever. Obviously, last year we had no non-conference games. We couldn't have, a real season. There was no fans. Most teams opted out of a bowl. Last year sucked. And so this year, to be back to normal, 100% or pretty close to it, and the fact that UNC is going to be really good, bro, I am stupid hype. I'm counting the days down.
Well, I'm happy for you that your team is going to be good. You guys have a really good player that, we're going to talk about shortly. Let's just get right into this list of quarterbacks. We'll start number 5. And for me, I have a guy from the state of North Carolina, not quite your man, but I'm going to go with Sam Hartman. I like what he's been able to do over there at Wake Forest. The offense has been a high-profile offense, so they throw the ball a lot. And I think he's the guy that flies a little bit under the radar. He's going to put up a lot of good numbers. Wake Forest isn't a team that's going to win 9 or 10 games, but I think he does a great job with what he's been given. I think he's had a pretty good career so far.
Yeah, I agree. For him, it's going to be really tough. Obviously, he lost Sage Surratt. That's such a huge weapon. So it's a tough deal for him. Like you said, Wake Forest. I think everybody flies under the radar at Wake Forest. Even Boogie Basham, who was one of the best players in the country last year, feel like he really didn't get the respect that he deserved. When you play for a program like Wake Forest, like not many people are watching you, honestly. Like it's not a big brand, so you really got to stand out. I think Sam's definitely capable of doing that. Number 5, I have Phil Jurkovec from Boston College. Here's the guy that last year ended up 34th in the country in total QBR. Now, that stat doesn't sound too great. Like, 34th, the hell are you talking about? There's 130 teams out there, and this is Boston College. This is not a program that is perennially good. This team is, more times than not, this is a team that no one watches, no one cares about. Boston College is just there. Like, mark this as a W for my favorite team. They're going to beat Boston College. Now they actually have a legitimate quarterback who's capable of keeping them in some games. We saw last year, I think Clemson's closest game before the playoff was actually the Boston College game. And I know Trevor Lawrence didn't play in that game, but DJ is not a problem because both of us are going to get to talking about him in a minute. This guy, Phil Jurkovec, can keep Boston College in some games. How many of those games are they actually going to win? That's a tough deal. That's a tough ask for a program like Boston College, but they are definitely not lacking at the quarterback position.
No, I definitely agree with that statement. I'm going to have him in my list too. But at number 4, I have a guy that, we just mentioned. I have DJ at number 4. I'm probably underrating him a little bit, to be honest. But preseason, he hasn't played much, so I'm going to slide him here. He's definitely a top 5 guy for me. I don't want to put him too high, but I think he's going to slide here at number 4. But by the end of the season, honestly, he could be the best guy in the conference. If he gets a healthy Justin Ross, who knows what those two could do together. I think he's going to pick up a little bit where Lawrence left off, the way he played early on in his career. He has all the talent in the world. This Clemson team has a lot of talent. I think he's ended up being one of the best players in the country at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. If you hate Clemson and you're thinking, they just lost Trevor Lawrence, they just lost Travis Etienne, finally Clemson's going to take a step back, you don't want to look and see who DJ Uiagalelei is, because this guy is a freak. He's basically Cam Newton. He's built like him. He's got a cannon for an arm. I've got him on the list too. But actually at number 4, I'm going with the best comeback story in all of college football this year, and that is Mackenzie Milton. And I know we don't even know if he's going to be the starter at Florida State because Jordan Travis was not bad. He can run. He can do things. If Mackenzie Milton is healthy and Mackenzie Milton looks like the Mackenzie Milton we saw at UCF a couple years ago, this guy is electric. I've always said, or not always, but last year, all year, I said that kid at Coastal Carolina, Grayson McCall, as good as he was, and just the way he could take over a game and the way that he took Coastal Carolina to places they had never been, he reminds me of Mackenzie Milton. So now, if Mackenzie Milton can come into Florida State and he's healthy, this is a guy that's going to make some noise. Listen, Florida State has been down. They've been down for the last few years, but this team has talent. Like, there's talent there. Even a 2-star in the state of Florida is probably better than your 4-star somewhere else. Florida State is not void of talent. If Mackenzie Milton's healthy, he's going to make some noise.
Yeah, I definitely hope Mackenzie Milton. I personally want him to win the job just so we can see, the comeback story reach its climax. He was such a great player at UCF that I don't want his career to end the way it did. I hope he can get on the field, and I hope he can be 100%. And I hope we can help Florida State turn it around, because let's face it, college football is better when Florida State's good. When all the Blue Bloods are good around the same time, the rivalries are that much better. The games are that much closer, it just makes everything better, in my opinion. I don't know about yours, but, Florida State's one of your rivals.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't like Florida State, but it's kind of like a heel in wrestling. Like, yeah, you hate Edge or Randy Orton or whoever, but, like, you got to have them.
Yeah, definitely. When the greats are good, it makes that much better. It makes beating them that much sweeter, too.
Exactly.
Number 3, I have a guy we already mentioned. I have Phil Jurkovich at my number 3. You already mentioned a little bit about him, but I think this is a guy that, he's going under the radar a little bit this season. I think if he can put together another great season that, NFL teams are going to be looking at him. He left Notre Dame, Notre Dame might be kicking themselves for that. They couldn't keep him around, but he's looked great in Boston College. And I think he's definitely got NFL scouts are going to be looking at this season as a possible guy that can get to the league.
Oh, absolutely. And that's, Notre Dame's definitely going to be kicking themselves because they got to have Jack Cohn as their quarterback, and he wasn't too swift at Wisconsin. So my number 3 is the guy that you mentioned before, DJ Ukulele, because I can't pronounce his last name. It's DJ Uiagalelei. The guy is basically Cam Newton 2.0. The guy's a freak. He's built like a refrigerator. He's got a rocket launcher for an arm. This guy is going to take the college football world by storm. We got a preview of that last year when Trevor Lawrence was out with COVID and DJ was on the big stage against Notre Dame. Yeah, they lost that game, but it was not because of DJ. You can go back and watch that game. There were mistakes. There were fumbles. It was this. It was that. The problem was definitely not Big Cinco playing quarterback right there, because this guy, DJ Uiagalelei, he's going to make you learn his name, kind of like Tua. It was like, you hope Tua's not any good, so I don't have to learn how to pronounce his last name. Nah, DJ's going to be like that. You're going to know how to say Uiagalelei by the end of the year, because this guy's putting 40 on your favorite defense.
Yeah, I think we're definitely looking at a future top pick, and it's crazy. Clemson keeps churning him out now. It's looking like they're going to be a new quarterback factory over there in North Carolina.
Who's a quarterback factory is the state of Hawaii. Oh, my God. I mean, Marcus Mariota, you go way back. You've got Mackenzie Milton. You had Tua. You got DJ. I mean, you have all these Hawaiian guys coming up playing quarterback. These guys, I mean, that is the new quarterback factory, is that little island over there on the West Coast. I'm telling you.
Yeah, not the place you would think of, when you're thinking of quarterbacks in the little state that's not even in the States. But sure enough, football's picking over there. They're building up some quarterbacks. For me, jumping to number 2, I think we're probably going to be on the same page for 1-2. My 2 is De'Aaron King. Obviously, at Miami last year, tore up his knee at the end of the season. I hope he can come back healthy, because when this guy's healthy, he's a really electric player. I know 2 seasons ago, right before he transferred from Houston, a lot of scouts are talking about this dude could potentially be a guy you look at to be the NFL. Now, I think he would have to have a tremendous season to go to the NFL and they get looked at as a quarterback, because, these days they don't want these guys playing quarterback. But he definitely has all the athleticism and he has a good arm to play. And I think if his knee can come back, this Miami team can be scary, and I think he can lead the charge for them this season.
Oh, absolutely. I really, really want De'Aaron King to be 100% healthy, because this guy is great for college football. He is the definition of electricity at the quarterback position. I also have him at number 2. The guy's just a stud. I mean, he's absolutely impossible to defend. And if this guy is a full go week 1, I don't think I'm crazy for saying this. Miami is going to give Alabama a game. You can go and look at the history of Nick Saban at Alabama. They have struggled with dual threat quarterbacks, whether it's Deshaun Watson, Johnny Manziel. There's a whole list of them. This guy is going to give Alabama a big problem week 1. And if he's 100% healthy, watch out for Miami this year.
All right, that's a bold call from you, RJ. You already gave us some bulletin board material for that one, but I definitely agree with you, that to beat Alabama, you have to have a dual threat quarterback. You're not going to beat Alabama by just running the football and by just chucking the ball around. You got to have a superstar quarterback. You look at who's beating them between Johnny Manziel, your Swag Kellys, your Deshaun Watsons, like you mentioned. It's those kind of guys end up beating them. And I hope he can come back full go. All my Miami friends are saying that he's ahead of schedule and he's going to be ready to go. So it's going to be a big week 1 game, probably a huge week 1 across all college football. Huge. And for me at number 1, I think we both agree. It's your boy. I don't even know if it's his nickname. I just call him Downtown Sam. I don't know if that's a thing. But Sam Howell likes to throw the ball downtown. He likes to chuck it deep. Absolutely great season last year. He's on track to be one of the first 2 quarterbacks picked in the draft this season, in my opinion. He's got everything working for him. This season is going to be different. We lost a lot of players. We'll see if he can bounce back this season. I know you know all about that, but to me, he's the best quarterback in the conference.
Absolutely. I actually think that Sam Howell is the best quarterback in the country. And I don't think I'm too biased by saying that, because here's a guy that came in as a true freshman in the ACC and was doing stuff that only Jameis Winston, Deshaun Watson, and like Trevor Lawrence had ever done. This guy is in great elite company. He's a stud. This guy, Sammy Football, Heisman Howell, whatever you want to call him, this guy is electric also. The ACC is going to be very, very fun to watch. The last couple of years, it's been Clemson and then everyone else. This year, I think we're looking more like a 2016 ACC, when you had Clemson very good, but you also had Florida State. You also had Louisville. Carolina had a potent offense. Their defense just couldn't stop anybody. Like 2016 ACC was really fun. And I think we're going to see similar things in 2021 out of this conference. Sam Howell, you mentioned, he lost De'Ami Brown. He lost Javonte Williams. He lost Michael Carter. He lost all these guys. But the guys that they are replacing them with are higher ranked recruits coming out of high school. Now, stars don't mean anything, things like that. I get it. You still got to come in and produce. But the amount of talent that UNC had versus the amount of talent that they are gaining and getting as we speak, Sam Howell's only going to get better from here.
Yeah, I definitely agree that you guys lost a lot, and when you bring in these recruits, you never know what you're going to get. Hopefully they can replace what you just lost, because to be honest, you guys lost a lot. You lost the whole offense, to be honest, with past Sam Howell. And I think it's the big year for Sam Howell for NFL evaluators, because if Sam Howell can go out there and replicate these stats with a whole new cast of characters, that's going to speak volumes to these NFL scouts. If you can come in and do this with 2 different types of people, 2 different teams, essentially, I think that's going to be big for him into being a top 5 pick in this upcoming NFL draft.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I definitely think Sam Howell is playing for the NFL this year. I think he may end up being the first quarterback drafted. Does that mean he goes number 1 overall? Probably. I don't know. But yeah, I think Sam Howell is going to put up big numbers this year with new guys, and some team in the top 3, honestly, in the NFL draft is going to come calling his name.
Yeah, I could definitely see that unraveling. Well, that was our top 5 quarterbacks. Now we're going to transition into just some all-around skill position players. The ACC, they got a lot of good players in this conference. A lot of them are on some particular teams. RJ, who are some of the guys you're looking at this season?
Well, you can say I'm biased for this, but the 2 teams that I think are going to be in the ACC championship this year make up the top 5 players that I'm really looking for to break out and to just be studs. I've got 3 from Clemson. I've got running back Will Shipley coming in as a true freshman straight out of high school. This guy is gifted as gifted can get. This was a big loss for UNC. I know he's from the state of North Carolina. We thought we had a chance to get him. That would have been nice. But he's going to go to Clemson, and he's going to have a chance to start day 1 since they lost Travis Etienne. He is going to split carries, I believe, with Lynn J. Dixon, who is a stud. If you didn't know, Lynn J. Dixon has been at Clemson, and he's actually been very productive. he's just had Travis Etienne in front of him. Whenever they've had to give Etienne a break, whenever he's sat out for a play or whatever, Lynn-J Dixon is actually a pretty solid running back. So him and Will Shipley together in that Clemson backfield is absolutely going to help DJ and his growing pains in his first full year as a starter. Now, I'm also looking at Justin Ross for Clemson, coming back from his injury. He's going to also play a big part in DJ's growth and development and all that. We saw what Justin Ross could do a couple of years ago when he torched Alabama in the national championship. The guy is unreal talented, just a dynamic wide receiver. So to have him back 100% healthy, this is going to be big for Clemson and that offense. Now, the other two players I'm looking at are at UNC. Everyone knows about North Carolina's offense. Everybody knows Sammy Football is going to sling it. Everybody doesn't know who the receivers and running back are going to be, and I could, go through that. But I want to look on the defensive side of the ball. North Carolina's biggest recruits have all been, the past couple of years, have all been on the defensive side of the ball, whether that's Desmond Evans, the pass rusher. You got Keyshawn Silver, who was a 5-star coming in. He'll be a true freshman this year. But we've got a couple guys in that secondary. It's going to be a no-fly zone because Storm Duck, who's getting all the hype, honestly, just because of how great his name is, he's getting preseason love. And I swear, everyone in the country is sleeping on Tony Grimes, the 5-star that came in, chose UNC over Ohio State, came in last year, skipped his senior year of high school. He was 18 years old last year, should have been a senior. And here he is, making plays, shutting people down. He didn't start the season as a starter last year, but by the end of the season, he was a starter, and he was very, very good. This guy is going to absolutely explode onto the scene this year. Everybody is going to know who Tony Grimes is this time next year.
Hey, well, there you heard it. RJ already has his prediction for the ACC title game. He was unbiased naming some Clemson players. Was he biased with the North Carolina players? Who knows? They have some studs in that team. They have a good team. I'm not going to argue with any of those guys you named. You actually named one guy that I actually have on my list, to watch is Justin Ross. I think it's going to be a big year for Justin Ross. The last time we saw a Clemson player that had a hurt neck and came back the next season was Mike Williams. And he ended up having a great season, was a pretty high draft pick, and is still kicking in the NFL with the Chargers. So if he can come back and have a season like he did back then, he's going to play himself right back into the NFL as a first, second-round pick. This dude was a great player, but unfortunately, we didn't see him last year. I hope he's healthy and wish him all the best because he's a great talent, and you want to see these great talents play the game. And so I hope he comes back healthy, and he'll be huge for DJ if he can be healthy. That changes their whole offense. Another player I like on that team is Andrew Booth over there at corner. He has the ability to play himself into cornerback 1 in the NFL draft this season. I know you named 2 guys from North Carolina. I'm high on Storm Duck as well, just as you are. A lot of people may not know about him. A couple other players I like in this conference that maybe not a lot of people are talking about is Zane Knight at NC State. Arguably the best running back in the conference. I think NC State can quietly have a pretty good season this year. They returned a lot of players that they had last year. I think that's a team we can watch out for. Over there at Georgia Tech, I like Jeff Sims. I think he can have a big season. Georgia Tech, they're rebuilding. Let's be honest. They're coming off of 2 years ago, a team that was running the triple option, and now they're running a spread offense. He was a freshman last year. You have your growing pains, especially in a COVID season, but I like some of the things he did. I like some of his game. He's an electric guy, and I can't wait to see the steps he takes this season because I think next season, junior year, he can skyrocket. Another guy I like is at Wake Forest, Shakari Robertson, big time receiver for Sam Hartman. Obviously, we talked about how they lost Sage Surratt to the NFL, who was surprisingly didn't even get drafted. But I think Robertson can be a huge player for this Wake Forest team, a team that likes to throw the ball a lot. I think he can lead this conference in our receiving yards, to be honest. And I'll go with another defensive player. I like Will Bolden over there in Miami. I think he's one of the better safeties in the conference, the USC transfer. He's going to be big for this team. Miami has aspirations to go to the ACC title game against, it's going to be probably them or y'all. He's going to have to rely on that. He's going to have to be big in the back end of that secondary for Manny Diaz for that team to help get to where they want to be, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, you got a solid list there. A bunch of under the radar guys that maybe a lot of people aren't necessarily talking about. This conference, like I said, it's going to be very fun to watch this year.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be more competitive. I think last year, in the past previous years, it's been Clemson and the rest. And I hope that changes because recently, I think they've been getting past. I think and if we're ranking the Power 5 conferences, I think the ACC has been near the bottom the past few years, to be honest. I think the SEC and the Big 10 and the Big 12 have surpassed the Pac-12 and the ACC in recent years. But there's a lot of talent in the ACC, and like you said, this year we might see a little bit more parity, a lot more competitiveness. I think this conference has a lot of returning quarterbacks, a lot of returning talent. So I think we're going to see some competitive games this season.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think we're just going to see Clemson and then everyone else. This is definitely still going to be kind of top heavy because you are going to have 3 potential preseason top 10 teams, and then maybe another team gets ranked. I don't know. But no, this conference is actually going to be a lot of fun, especially over on the coastal side with Miami and UNC and all that. That's going to be fun.
Hit or miss.
Yeah. The coastal's wild. The Atlantic, they got to step it up. So you need Florida State to be back, make it interesting.
I like your call on Shipley. I think he can be big for Clemson. The carriers are definitely going to be there. They're going to be. I think they're going to split, like you said. ETN, arguably the best playmaker they had over the past 4 years. He's gone. So what do they do with the carries? You got to spread them around, and out of the backfield catching the ball. I think he might be big.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. That kid is absolutely electric. It's a shame that DeMarcus Bowman didn't, stay around and take over, but the Gators are happy to have him. But yeah, no, Will Shipley.
Preview.
Oh yeah, no, he's absolutely going to be a big talking point in that video. Will Shipley, yeah, he's going to come in, get a lot of carries. That's a guy who I think will be a household name by the time we get to January.
Well, on that note, the ACC, they have a lot of great players. We just wanted to name a couple of them for you guys. Obviously, we ran through our quarterbacks as well. Be on the lookout for our full ACC preview coming out in a couple of days after this video drops. Big time news in this conference is going to be happening this season. I think me and RJ are high on this conference. Well, I know RJ's high on the conference. I hope
absolutely.
But
absolutely.
I'm Jamil. That was RJ. We'll catch you guys next time.